everyone, welcome to Otaku Central.
Hey there.
Go ahead and just let this play while you're doing whatever you're up to, and listen in on an awesome recap.
Yeah, kick back.
Today, we're totally geeking out over the adventures of Frieren and her crew after they took down the Demon King.
Oh yeah, the post-Demon King era.
Yes.
So much happens.
It's like we're just hanging out, chatting about all the cool stuff that happened on their journey.
Exactly. Just two fans diving deep.
We're going to dive into their travels, all the new characters they meet, and some seriously epic fights they get into.
For sure. Think of it as like catching up with your best anime buddy about all the must-see episodes.
Perfect. So where do we even start? Right after the big win.
Okay, yeah. So right after this huge victory, the heroes get back. And it sounds like there's this massive celebration, the king's showering them with praise and honors.
Right, the hero's welcome.
But then Frieren, being this super long-lived elf mage, she makes this promise about their next trip being even better.
And then just takes off on her own for a really long time, right? Like decades.
Exactly. Can you even imagine? After saving the world, she just dips out solo for decades.
Just wandering.
Just exploring, learning new magic, seeing how things have changed. It's almost like she needed a massive cool down after all that world-saving stress.
Totally. A centuries-long cool down.
But then, like, 50 years later, she remembers this promise she made to Himmel, the human hero.
About the meteor shower.
Yeah, and it just happens to be when this specific meteor shower is supposed to happen. Talk about timing.
And seeing Himmel again after all that time, the way they show his age, it really hits you.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a stark contrast to Frieren. Really drives home the whole lifespan difference.
And even though this reunion is, like, really nice, it's also kind of bittersweet, maybe. Because Himmel passes away not too long after.
Yeah, it's rough. Makes you think about how fleeting human life really is compared to hers.
Definitely. That meteor shower must have been incredible visually.
Oh, for sure. But Himmel's death, it really has a big impact on Frieren, doesn't it?
It really does. It seems like that's the thing that makes her actually want to try and understand humans better.
Which is huge for an elf who's lived for, like, over 1,000 years and been pretty detached.
Yeah, there's like a major turning point.
Yeah.
She realizes maybe she missed something important by keeping her distance.
It brings up that whole theme of time, right? How it feels so different for her compared to everyone else she knows.
Exactly. Her long life makes human emotions and motivations almost like a subject to study.
Like she's finally realizing there's this whole layer of experience she hasn't really connected with.
And then almost right after that, she bumps into Helter, the priest.
Right, and he's got this request for her about taking care of this orphan kid, Fern.
And Frieren's first reaction, like immediate nope.
Ha! Yeah, just straight up no thanks. Clearly wasn't planning on becoming a guardian anytime soon.
It really shows her personality at that point, super powerful, maybe a bit cold or just distant.
Definitely distant. Her quick refusal kind of sets up Helter's next move, though. He's clever.
Oh, totally. He pulls out the grimoire card, this supposed book with, like, a skull for immortality or something.
The ultimate bait for Frieren.
Exactly. There's always a catch, right? But it gets her attention.
Oh, he totally tricks her. Offering her a potential secret to living forever is definitely the way to go.
So she kind of reluctantly takes Fern in and starts teaching her magic.
And we get that nice little montage, right? Them figuring out the grimoire, Fern getting stronger with her magic. It's actually kind of sweet.
It is.
Yeah.
You see Frieren go from absolutely not to actually teaching her. It hints that maybe deep down, there's a part of her that does want to connect.
Even if it starts out just being about the grimoire.
Yeah, maybe her own curiosity opened the door a little.
But then Helter passes away after about 4 years. It's sad, but Fern is super determined.
Right. She decides she won't visit his grave until she feels like she's a proper, capable mage.
And we get that flashback, don't we? Showing Helter saving her as a kid.
Yes. That flashback is so key. It shows you why she feels so strongly, why she has that drive. It's about honoring him.
Makes total sense. And Frieren, in her own way, seems to get it. She doesn't push Fern.
Nope. And apparently during this time, Frieren was off on her own little side quest, too, looking for something.
Yeah, the one piece of magic or something. It takes Helter, like, on his deathbed to really insist that Frieren take Fern with her on her main journey.
Talk about a last wish. It's kind of funny thinking of Frieren having her own secret quest, but Helter's request is definitely the catalyst.
It really brings them together properly. And then they do visit his grave later, which feels like a really important moment, closing a chapter.
Yeah, saying goodbye and looking ahead. So their travels start for real.
And they get into all sorts of things. helping that old lady fix the statue of Himmel.
Oh yeah, Frieren just uses magic to patch it up instantly.
Yeah.
Easy peasy for her.
And then that whole quest for the blue moonweed, being guided by squirrels to a tower.
Squirrels. Seriously, the randomness is part of the charm. A simple task turns into this weird little adventure.
It's that mix of mundane and magical, right? And their daily life seems surprisingly normal sometimes.
Totally. Grocery shopping, Fern kind of stalking Frieren to make sure she gets up on time.
Huh. Yeah, the usual adventuring party chores. But then Frieren totally surprises Fern with a gift, like out of nowhere.
That was sweet. Those little moments show their bond growing, even if Frieren isn't, super outwardly emotional.
But it's not all quiet moments and gifts. They run into this really strong demon in a village.
Oh yeah, and Frieren just handles it, like completely demolishes it.
They describe the demon's attacks like a toddler hitting a toy, totally useless against her. She just poof, instant win.
It's a good reminder of just how insanely powerful Frieren actually is, like leagues above most threats.
And probably a bit intimidating for Fern, seeing that raw power.
Definitely shows her what they might be up against and how much she still has to learn.
Then there's that totally random act of kindness, cleaning up an entire beach for an old man.
In exchange for a fake grimoire, Fern's like, why are we doing this?
But Frieren talks about how it feels good to help people. 3 months they spent cleaning that beach.
That's dedication. It really shows Frieren's values might be shifting, even subtly, finding value beyond just magic or rewards.
It's a nice character moment. And then eventually they run into Eisen again, the dwarf warrior.
Yeah, he's praying super intensely.
Hmm.
And he tells Frieren about Flam's grimoire.
Which reveals the existence of Oriel, like the place where souls gather. Heaven, basically.
Right, a place where she could potentially talk to spirits, including Himmel.
And Eisen asks her to go there. That becomes her new big goal, right?
Yeah, a really personal goal connected to her past and wanting to understand Himmel. And Oriel being way up north near the old Demon King's castle adds a layer of danger, maybe.
Definitely feels like more than just a peaceful reunion trip. So, on their way north.
They get warned about those deceptive ghosts, the ones that look like people you love.
Oh, man. Yeah. And of course, Fern sees an illusion of Hildur.
And Frieren sees Himmel, but Frieren, being Frieren,
Just blasts him, no hesitation, ice cold.
pretty much. But Fern manages to overcome her illusion too, which is a big step for her, shows her growth.
Totally. Then they find that dragon guarding another grimoire,
And that's where they meet Stark, Eisen's former apprentice.
who is initially terrified of the dragon, like completely useless.
Yeah, pure cowardice at first, but it turns out he's actually super strong, just scared.
Hidden power. And Fern kind of helps him find his courage.
Yeah, she believes in him, and he ends up bravely taking down the dragon, all for a book, which is kind of funny.
So now they're a trio, Frieren, Fern, and Stark, trying to get through this blocked mountain pass.
They even try asking random travelers for help, just like a real adventuring party,
Until the guards finally recognize Frieren as the Frieren, the hero.
and just let them pass.
Yeah,
VIP treatment, even though she probably hated the attention.
probably. It highlights her past, even if she doesn't flaunt it. So they end up in this village.
Helping fix roads damaged in a war. Just doing good deeds.
Then there's a festival celebrating the original heroes, but nobody even recognizes Frieren.
Isn't that wild? Himmel's statue gets all the glory. She's just there.
And then things get complicated. Frieren confronts some demons acting suspiciously
And ends up getting arrested by the local lord's guards.
for doing the right thing. It shows that whole complicated human-demon dynamic after the war.
Yeah, and while she's locked up, she tells that story, doesn't she?
Oh, the one about the demon they rescued ages ago.
Yeah, who then betrayed them and wiped out a whole village. Explains so much about her distrust.
Absolutely. It gives crucial context for why she is the way she is about demons. No second chances.
And then, wouldn't you know it, there's a demon attack on the Lord himself.
Right, which kicks off a whole plan to save the town, or the region.
Which means infiltration and fighting. This is where it gets really good.
Yes. They sneak into the castle and face off against Lugner, Lini, and the big one, or the guillotine.
Ara, with her scales of obedience, the mana controlling thing. And we find out she has history with Frieren from like 80 years ago.
Unfinished business. You know that fight's going to be personal.
Totally. And the other fights are intense too. Fern dueling Lugner.
And using moves like Eisen, that was cool to see.
Yeah. And Stark actually showing some serious strength against Laney. He's not just the scaredy cat anymore.
Definitely growing into his role. And we get those amazing flashbacks to Frieren training with her master, Flam.
Learning to conceal her mana. That's the key, right? The secret weapon against demons, especially someone like Aura who judges power based on visible mana.
Exactly. It all leads to that incredible climax where Frieren just drops the concealment
Unleashes all her mana, which is just ridiculously
and
immense.
completely overwhelms Aura's scales, forces her into submission. What a power move.
Just pure, overwhelming victory through decades, centuries of hidden power. So satisfying.
So after all that craziness, the Lord, Graf Granite, is super thankful. They have this nice moment bonding with the people there.
A bit of calm after the storm,
Mm.
but then out in the snowy wilderness.
They stumble upon Kraft, the elf monk, just casually doing squats in freezing weather.
Uh-huh, yeah. Another ancient elf, just living his life differently. They end up surviving a really harsh winter together. Adds another interesting perspective.
It does. Then their journey continues, looking for some legendary hero's sword.
Only to find out Himmel wasn't the hero of that particular legend. Kind of an anticlimax.
Right. A bit awkward. And then they meet Sign the priest.
Who really, really does not want to join their party at first.
Oh man, the attempts to convince him are pretty funny. Lots of reluctance.
Adds a new dynamic, though. And meanwhile, Fern and Stark.
Oh, the bickering is reaching new levels, which, totally means they like each other.
Classic anime trope. And they keep running into trouble, ambushes, curses.
Good thing Sign eventually joins and has that handy divine magic. They need a healer.
Seriously. They even deal with some pompous royal guy who wants to use Stark as, like, a fake son or a decoy.
Yeah, some weird political stuff. And they have to learn royal etiquette. Imagine Frieren trying to be formal.
Oh god, that must have been hilarious. But we get more hints of the Fern-Stark romance budding amidst the fancy dinners.
It's cute. They also run into an old dwarf friend of Eisen's.
Oh, the one who lost his memories of his wife. That was quite sad.
Yeah, really poignant. Hits that theme of time and loss again. And Sign has his own emotional reunion and departure with his old friend Gorilla.
Lots of feels packed into that stretch of the journey. It's not just about fighting demons.
True. More harsh weather, more searching for legendary magic. Sign basically acting as the couple's counselor for Fern and Stark.
Yeah, mediating their quarrels.
Yeah.
Sounds like a typical road trip dynamic for them by now.
Pretty much. And then Fern catches a cold, and Fern actually, pampers her, takes care of her.
Whoa. Character development. She's definitely learned a thing or two about caring for others. It's subtle, but it's there.
Totally. And finally, after all that, they reach Oysterst, the city of magic.
Which means the first-class mage exam arc.
Dun dun dun. Frieren's not super thrilled about taking an exam, is she?
Not really, but she gets roped into it because she needs the certification to travel further north easily, right?
Yeah.
Something about a holy emblem.
Yeah, practical reasons again. So the first test is catching a still, that super fast bird.
While dealing with those two bickering mages, Cain and Lewine, they're chaos agents.
Seriously, Frieren's got this meticulous plan using the environment, understanding the magic.
While everyone else is just running around blasting spells wildly. Classic Frieren, using her brain and experience. And she pulls it off, naturally.
Of course. Then the second exam, that one's way crazier.
Oh yeah, the dungeon crawl in the King's Chamber ruins, facing replicas created by the Spiegel.
Clones of themselves. And other powerful mages like Sense. That's a nightmare scenario.
Totally mind-bending. The fights are intense because they're fighting themselves, essentially, their own strengths and weaknesses.
And Fern figures out a weakness in Frieren's replica, exploiting that tiny mana fluctuation after a spell. Smart.
Super smart. It shows how well she knows Frieren now. They eventually manage to destroy the Spiegel controlling replicas.
Phew. But Fern's staff breaks in the fight.
And Frieren actually goes out of her way to find Richter, the shopkeeper mage, to fix it. That felt like a big moment for her, showing real care.
It really did. Okay, so, third test. Not a fight.
Nope. An interview with Ciri, the ancient, legendary elf mage, Flame's master.
Who is super strict and judgmental and holds a grudge against Frieren for some reason.
Yeah, apparently Frieren didn't impress her way back when. So Ciri fails Frieren.
What? After all that. But Fern...
Fern passes. Surprise. Ciri sees potential in her, or maybe just likes her straightforwardness. Denkin and some others pass too.
Wild. So there's a celebration, but Frieren gets denied entry because Ciri's still salty.
Pretty much. Petty, ancient elf drama. Then some random old mage tries to challenge Frieren outside.
And she just ignores him, completely unfazed. Classic Frieren again.
And just like that, exam arc over. They say their goodbyes and continue the journey north.
Wow, what a ride.
Hmm.
Seriously, from those early days after the Demon King to passing the mage exam, Frieren's journey is just packed.
So much happens. Heartwarming reunions, epic magical showdowns, quiet moments, weird side quests.
It really makes you think about, the passage of time, how relationships form and change, even for someone who lives forever.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we barely even scratched the surface of all the cool magic systems and the different philosophies, the characters they met.
So many layers still to unpack in their adventures. It's just such a good story.
It really is.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us here at Otaku Central. We hope this deep dive, this geeking out about Frieren's journey, was as much fun for you as it was for us.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed the recap.
Thanks for watching or listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more anime content.
See you next time.